So we have prepared 12 examples from the history that will prove that time travel exists. Also, we have prepared a bonus for you. It will make you believe that there is something out there in the universe that we don't know about yet. Stay with us and dive into the world of the unexplained. Number 12. Is this another evidence of time travel? We all know Jennifer Lawrence by her astonishing acting in the Hunger Games film series. And maybe some of you have heard about Zubaida Tharwan, an Egyptian movie, stage, and television star. You don't need extraordinary skills to see the unique resemblance between them. Look at their eyes. It feels as if the same person is looking at you from the screen, doesn't it? Jennifer Lawrence is not only the spitting image of the Silver Age Egyptian actress Zubaida Tharwan, but also they have similarities in their careers and lives. Isn't that astounding? Number 11. A premonition of the Titanic. There is hardly any person who's never heard of the Titanic and its tragic story. But few of us know that in 1898, 14 years before the sinking of the Titanic, fantasy writer Morgan Robertson wrote the novella Futility, which told the story of a ship that was sunk, and which bore the name the Titan. But it wasn't just the name where we can see an eerie coincidence. Both the fictional and real ship were described as unsinkable, had similar technical characteristics, lacked a suitable number of lifeboats, and collided with icebergs in the North Atlantic. After the sinking of the Titanic, the book was republished with the title Futility, or The Sinking of the Titan. Number 10. Neighbors living in different centuries. The famous composer George Handel was a neighbor of a famous guitarist Jimi Hendrix. Admittedly, they were separated by 2 centuries. Handel lived in London at 25 Brook Street, and Hendrix lived for a time at 23 Brook Street. They were both incredible musicians who had a major influence on the development of music in their respective eras. Hendrix is believed to be one of the most outstanding electric guitarists in the history of rock music, while Handel, in his turn, is considered to be one of the greatest composers of the Baroque era. Even their surnames sound alike, don't they? Number 9. The tragedy on the Hoover Dam. The Hoover Dam, located in the USA, is believed to be one of the most mysterious in the world. Firstly, more than 100 workers died while constructing it. Secondly, because it holds back so much water that this amount of water led to the deformation of the Earth's crust, which caused more than 600 earthquakes in that region. But it holds a more unexplainable mystery in it. One of the first people who lost their lives during the construction of the Hoover Dam was George Tierney, who died on December 20th, 1922, when carrying out preparatory work. The last person to die during construction was Patrick Tierney, George's son. He also died on December 20th. Number 8. The cars that found each other. In 1895, in the state of Ohio, 2 cars collided. The peculiarity of this particular accident is to be found in the fact that during this period, automobile production was only just beginning to take off, and there were only these 2 cars in all of Ohio. Unfortunately, at that time, automobile accidents still weren't documented, and so the official records of this case haven't survived. Just let this fact sink in. Only 2 cars in the whole city, and they collided. Isn't that fate? Number 7. Coincidences in the biographies of Lincoln and Kennedy. A multitude of strange coincidences exists in the biographies of 2 American presidents, Abraham Lincoln and John Kennedy. Here are just a few of them. They were both killed by a gunshot wound to the back of the head on a Friday before a celebration. Lincoln was killed just before Easter, Kennedy on the eve of Thanksgiving. Each was accompanied by his wife and another couple. Both had 4 children. Both had a friend called Billy Graham. Kennedy had a secretary named Miss Lincoln. President Lincoln had a secretary called John. Their successors in both cases were vice presidents called Johnson, who were both Southerners and Democrats. Can you think of other coincidences in their biographies? Please share them in the comments section below. Number 6. The First and Last Soldiers. The British Army during World War I lost about 673,375 soldiers that were declared to be dead and missing. And the surprising fact here is that the graves of the first and last British soldiers killed in the war are located 6 meters from each other. and their headstones face each other. This arrangement was not in any way deliberate. Number 5. Rumors of Edgar Allan Poe's time machine. In the book The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket, written by Edgar Allan Poe, we learn the story of 4 sailors who survived the sinking of their ship and were forced to eat a shipboy called Richard Parker. Poe claimed that this story was based on real-life events, but this wasn't actually the case. 46 years after the book was written, an actual boat did sink, and the members of the crew who were saved recounted how they had eaten a shipboy called Richard Parker. This led to rumors that the famous American writer had owned a time machine. Do you have any explanations of it? We would love to hear them in the comments section. Number 4. Unlucky Brothers. In July 1975, Erskine Lawrence Evan, a 17-year-old inhabitant of the Bermuda Islands, was riding along the road on his moped when he was hit by a taxi. Almost a year before, also in July, Erskine's brother, who was also 17, was killed. He was riding the same moped and he was killed by a taxi as well. Behind the wheel was the same driver and he was carrying the same passenger. That's more than unbelievable, isn't it? Number 3. Anthony Hopkins and a rare book. Once, the actor Anthony Hopkins urgently needed to get hold of a book so that he could study for a role in a film he was starring in, The Girl from Petrovka, written by George Pfeiffer. He couldn't find the book in a shop anywhere, but then he came across a forgotten copy in the subway. When Hopkins later met Pfeiffer, the latter told him that he didn't have a copy of the book himself. He had lent his last one to a friend who had lost it somewhere in the subway. Amazing, huh? Hit the like button if you have these types of coincidences in your life. Number 2. A special name for the Roman Empire. The city of Rome, the foundation of the Roman state, was founded according to the legend by Romulus and Remus. Consequently, Romulus became the first king of Rome. The last ruler of the Western Roman Empire was Romulus Augustulus, although he was born as Flavius Romulus Augustus. Nevertheless, one can say that one of the most powerful empires of the ancient world began and ended with the name Romulus. Number 1. A prediction of Donald Trump's election victory in The Simpsons. The creators of The Simpsons made an episode in the year 2000, which made a joke about Donald Trump becoming the president of the United States. Could they have ever guessed that one day it would become true? Even more amazing is the fact that the show presented Trump's election campaign in a way that was almost identical to scenes from real life when he launched his presidential bid. Maybe somewhere out there somebody is writing our life stories. And here's our bonus, almost like reincarnation. Enzo Ferrari, who founded the Ferrari company, died in 1988. About a month later, the footballer Mesut Özil was born. Looking at their portraits, you could be forgiven for thinking they are twin brothers. Is this a case of reincarnation? Just look at them, the same face and the same deep eyes. Do you know any other coincidental facts from history or your life? Share them in the comments section below.